In civil litigation, a trial judge cannot halt their entire docket to dissect 10 years of technical financial records. This sheer volume of evidence creates a severe administrative bottleneck. To resolve this, the rules of court provide a specialized mechanism, Rule 32, Trial by Commissioner. This mechanism acts as a pressure valve, allowing the court to delegate the tedious examination of long accounts and technical facts. Rule 32 functions as a highly regulated outsourcing of evidence reception. This ensures the court can process complex data without surrendering its core adjudicatory function. Mastering Rule 32 for the bar exam requires precision. You must memorize rigid reglementary periods, identify strict jurisdictional bounds, and understand where delegated authority stops. Understanding the role of the commissioner means recognizing the rigid boundary between fact-finding and legal adjudication. This document highlights Section 1 of the rule, covering reference by consent. The court may delegate issues only if there is a documented mutual agreement between both parties. The required elements form the acronym WCA: written consent, a court order referring the issues, and the appointment of the commissioner, chosen by mutual agreement or selected by the judge. Examiners frequently test this requirement. An oral agreement made in open court to refer a case to a commissioner is insufficient. Without a written manifestation, Section 1 does not apply. If the parties refuse to consent, Section 2 provides an alternative. The court holds the authority to mandate an appointment, either upon application of one party or strictly motu proprio. This diagram represents the WMPE framework for a forced reference. The judge can compel an appointment when a long account requires examination, when a motion raises a complex question of fact, prior to judgment for the information of the court, or to effectuate a judgment. This forced reference has a strict limit. A judge cannot compel a reference to a commissioner over the objection of a party if the issue involves a simple question of fact or law that a court is capable of resolving through an ordinary trial. Section 1 exists to facilitate party efficiency. Section 2 serves as an assertion of the court's authority to protect its schedule from cases requiring exhaustive accounting. This highlighted text underscores the importance of the order of reference. This document acts as the commissioner's constitution, defining their jurisdiction and explicitly bounding their authority. The powers granted follow the SLRR structure. The order may specify or limit the powers, direct the commissioner to report on particular issues, and authorize them to regulate the proceedings. Unlike the clerk of court receiving ex parte evidence, who has no power to rule on objections, a Rule 32 commissioner is generally authorized to rule on the admissibility of evidence during the hearings, subject to the limits of the order. Under Section 4, before assuming office, the commissioner must swear an oath for the faithful and honest performance of their duties, fulfilling the OFH requirement. This oath is a jurisdictional prerequisite. Examining documents without being sworn makes the entire procedure procedurally defective and subject to a timely objection. The order of reference defines the scope of the mission. The oath is the procedural step that qualifies the commissioner to take their first legal action. Section 5 initiates the timeline. Upon receiving the order, the commissioner must set the time and place for the first meeting within 10 calendar days. The administrative burden shifts from the court to the appointee. The commissioner holds the affirmative duty to notify the parties or their counsel and secure this initial meeting. To prevent tactical delays under Section 6, the commissioner holds the discretion to proceed with a hearing ex parte if a party fails to appear after receiving proper notification. Section 7 grants the commissioner coercive authority over testimony, explicitly allowing them to issue subpoenas and subpoenas ducis tecum to compel the attendance of witnesses. This flowchart illustrates the ROC rule. Refusing to obey a subpoena, take the oath, or answer questions constitutes contempt of court. The commissioner cannot directly issue a contempt order. They must report the defiance to the appointing judge, who alone retains the power to exact the penalty. Under Section 8, the commissioner operates under an affirmative duty to proceed with all reasonable diligence and avoid delays in the fact-finding process. If the commissioner stalls, any party can apply to the court for an order compelling the commissioner to accelerate the proceedings and submit their final report. Sections 5 through 8 grant the commissioner the procedural momentum needed to neutralize dilatory tactics, deriving all coercive power from the threat of the appointing judge's gavel. Under Section 9, the Commissioner concludes their mandate by formalizing their findings of fact and conclusions of law into a written report. This visual emphasizes Section 10. Once the clerk notifies the parties that the report is filed, the defense and plaintiff have exactly 10 calendar days to submit formal grounds of objections. The bar exam tests heavily on this timeline. This refers strictly to calendar days. Failing to object within this window operates as a waiver of the right to challenge the factual findings later. This diagram outlines Section 11. After 10 days, a mandatory judicial review phase begins. The judge exercises AMRR powers: adopt, modify, reject, or recommit the report. The Commissioner's factual findings carry no binding finality until the judge issues an order adopting them. By providing a mandatory window for objections and keeping the final power to modify or reject the report with the court, Rule 32 ensures the judge remains the final arbiter. This design allows for efficient delegation while upholding the requirement that a judge personally determine the merits of the case. Section 12 allows parties to bypass the objection phase. They can mutually stipulate that the Commissioner's factual findings will be considered final and binding. If this Section 12 stipulation is active, the scope of appellate review narrows. A subsequent appeal can challenge how the trial judge applied the law, but it cannot attack the stipulated factual record. As this invoice shows, Section 13 guarantees that the Commissioner is entitled to reasonable compensation for their specialized services. This relies on the CTC rule, compensation taxed as costs. Instead of a fixed statutory rate, the trial judge dictates a reasonable amount and taxes it against the defeated party, or apportions it between litigants as justice requires. The Commissioner performs a highly specialized service for the court, and the financial burden of achieving that efficiency is ultimately absorbed by the losing litigant. Rule 32 strikes a balance, protecting the court's schedule without sacrificing the duty to personally adjudicate. The Commissioner serves as the judicial scout, analyzing the morass of raw data. The judge serves as the commander, issuing the final adjudication. To secure points on the bar exam, you must perfectly recall the 10-day calendar period, the long account exception, and non-delegable contempt powers. Rule 32 safely converts overwhelming evidentiary complexity into actionable legal clarity, provided the strict boundaries of delegated authority are rigorously maintained.